Welcome, everyone, this morning. We're going to be discussing the April 2025 implementation manual changes. This presentation will include changes going into effect April 1st, as well as provide you advance notice for changes that will go into effect October 1st on the new rate period. I'm going to turn it over to Dave Moody, our first presenter today, who's going to discuss some changes to the non-sector sections of the implementation manual.
So wanted to make everybody aware of a couple of changes. The first is a general change, and the second is one that will impact not the immediately forthcoming IM, but the following IM. So first, effective October 1st, 2025, the term Contracting Officers Technical Representative, which most of you know as COTRs, will be replaced by the Contract Administration Specialist. So some context for that change. COTR, Contracting Officers Technical Representative, is a formal term used within BPA and the government broadly that really isn't used anymore. And so our usage of that term was creating confusion. So to avoid that confusion, we're simply changing the name to Contract Administration Specialist. That does not change the role. It does not change the people you'll be working with or their job. It's simply a change in title to avoid confusion. Second, wanted to make everybody aware that we have a 3-year rate period coming up. So the final rate period of the regional dialogue contract period will be 3 years. This creates some complexity for the implementation program, for the BPA's EE implementation program, that we need to address through some specific changes to our IM cadence and our reporting requirements. And I'll be going over the reporting requirements in just a moment. But we did want to make everybody aware that during that 3-year rate period, we do plan to publish an updated IM on October 1st of 2027. So this will be in effect for the final year of that 3-year rate period. And what this will allow us to do is A, prevent our program from getting too stale. Our measures do change, our baselines change, technologies change over time, and over a long enough time horizon, we're paying for savings that aren't frankly quite as valid or reliable as they should be. Perhaps more importantly, though, is we anticipate the publication of a new power plan during the early years of the forthcoming rate period. It is scheduled to be published in late 2026. And as I believe most everybody knows, as we publish power plans, or as the council rather publishes power plans, that will change the baseline of all of our measures. So every one of our measures will change, if to a small degree, with the publication of power plans. So we'll be adopting a new IM 2 years into the forthcoming 3-year rate period, which will include changes from that power plan, as well as make sure our measure list is up to date. Okay, so some more near-term changes. So first, effective October 1st, 2025, we'll be changing our definition of small rural residential customers. So we will be changing one aspect, and that is the rural customers, which we measure by customers per line mile. So our current stance is that to be considered rural, you have to have 10 customers per mile. We are changing that to 12 customers per line mile. So that is an increase in customers, and this is a more flexible definition of our SRR. So this will make the inclusion as an SRR customer slightly more inclusive. This is not a major change, but it is we are changing it to align with the broader definitions within the power sales agreement that provide discounts on your power bills. So this is creating alignment with other parts of BPA. Second, and perhaps most impactful, we'll be changing some reporting requirements, again, to address some of the risks that we face with our 3-year rate period. First, we're requiring measures and projects to be submitted within 180 days of completion date. And so that is, as you know, the completion date is a defined section within the IM, and it does have some significant flexibility for the utility, but we are asking for customers to submit those projects in a relatively timely fashion. And that's within essentially 6 months of completion. And the rationale for that is we tend to see a lot of the savings reported stack up towards the very end of the rate period. So as that rate period progresses, we tend to see a large majority of the savings that we achieved during that 2-year period reported towards the end of that period. And as we enter a 3-year rate period, we were, I think, reasonably worried about the impact on our ability to forecast our acquisitions in the near term, meet our overall targets, and understand the trajectory of our program as we included more time within the rate period. So we've shortened the window in which we are asking customers to report from essentially any time during the rate period to 6 months post-completion date. For similar reasons, we are also going to require that invoices for payment be submitted within 60 days of BPA approval. So that is when in BEATS, RC will now be our contract administration specialist, currently our CTR, marks an application as ready to invoice. We are asking customers to submit those for payment within 60 days of that approval. I will note that during the roundtables last fall, we had gone out with a message saying we were looking for 30 days, but we did get some customer feedback on this point, and so we've changed our approach from 30 days to 60 days to provide more flexibility for those customers who have a longer cycle for their reporting process. And finally, we are requesting, but not requiring, reporting once at least every 6 months. So we do see some customers report very, very infrequently. So we're asking those customers who are implementing programs to report at least once every 6 months. Obviously, you can't prove a negative. If you're not doing anything for 6 months, you have nothing to report, and thus it's a request, not a requirement. But that is our ask of all of you to report your acquisitions to us at least once every 6 months. Now to more kind of tactical changes. So for both our custom program payment rate for non-residential lighting, we are, custom program and program payment rate. And so are we increasing our non-residential lighting incentives from 13 cents to 25 cents per kWh to better match the other custom portions of our portfolio. And finally, we are eliminating all the remaining measures, and there were very few, but all the remaining measures in the by request category. So those are the measures where customers could request a door sweep or, previously things like a light bulb or shower head, but those are no longer available. So we are eliminating the by request channel for our measure process.
Next off, we have a change for agricultural. I'm going to welcome David Lee, our Agricultural and Federal Sector Lead.
Good morning, all. I'm David Lee, the Agricultural and Federal Sector Lead. I'm going to walk through our update for the April IM and then also what we're providing advance notices on. So we did refine our language, reworded it, provided more detail for our 7.3 thermostatically controlled outlet measure, improving the description of the base case and the more efficient case, kind of detailing how that device functions, also the equipment that device would control. Most importantly, we expanded the variety of locations where this device could be used, pump and water system, utility building, utility room, or ag building, and gave some examples of what those ag buildings would be: barn, livestock building, chicken house, storage shed. Also removed references to freeze protection. So overall, improving the narrative, providing more details, and hoping this will help with more uptake in implementing this measure. We did this for a variety of reasons, feedback from different utilities and staff, and I think it will improve the measure in terms of its description and the details provided. We are providing advance notice. This is effective will be effective October 1, 2025. We are increasing incentive payments on the majority of our irrigation-related measures. This increase keeps us in pace with inflation that we're seeing in terms of the incremental costs of the equipment. We have not done incentive payment increases since October 1, 2023. So we believe this is a good move based on our review of incremental costs and how much they've increased. The measures affected will be 751, 2, and 3 with irrigation system conversions and irrigation hardware upgrades, sprinkler package replacements, and also our 762, 3, 4, and 5. Those are VFDs for new and existing ag, centrifugal, and turbine pumps, and also our new pump efficiency upgrade. Again, those incentive increases will be overall 30 to 40% of an increase, and more details to come on what those specific incentive levels will be in the not too far off future.
We're going to turn it over to Eric Mullendor, who's our commercial and industrial sector lead. Eric, take it away.
So I'll be covering a few commercial changes here. Let's get started. One of our more impactful changes, I think everyone should be aware at this point, we are adding the online lighting calculator to the lighting calculator table, shown here with an effective date of April 1st, 2025. We are also listing an expiration date for the lighting calculator series 6. There is an updated footnote regarding what we mean by that expiration date. As we shift platforms, we are asking that utilities who adopt the online lighting calculator do so completely when they make the switch, and only report online lighting calculator projects from that point forward. So we should see declining numbers of the old LCs coming in over the course of the rest of this rate period. Also, another change associated with the change in lighting calculator platform, the BPA approval for non-standard measures is limited to the Excel-based calculator. So in the OLC system, there is no BPA pre-approval required for non-standard measures. Of course, they would still be subject to, the oversight and all of that, but there's no need to reach out to BPA ahead of time to get that non-standard measure unlocked in the calculator. Of course, we're still available if anyone has questions or would like feedback on whether a particular input into the calculator is appropriate for your project. So these are just some additional change notices related to the online lighting calculator being added to our list of available calculators, as well as noticing our intent to make adjustments to the online lighting calculator savings and payments in the next rate period. So the version of the online lighting calculator that is available today exactly duplicates the energy savings calculations and incentive payments of the existing LC 6.0. In October, we will be making some changes for those of you in Oregon. I think you're aware of what those specific changes are, but then we're also looking at that is with the phase out of fluorescence. But then across the board, we'll see some adjustments to HVAC interactive factors to line up with the latest RTF protocols, and some adjustments to incentives in the northward direction. Variable frequency drive for pumps. We have this is a change or a correction effective April 1st. We're clarifying that there is no limit to the total VFD horsepower installed for the measure. It's just that each pump has to be equal to or less than 100 horsepower. So if you had 200 horsepower pumps, you could report that as a single line in the UES upload template. No need to break those out. The previous language made it seem as if the entire project had to be under 100 horsepower. Change notices effective October 1st, 2025. I already alluded to the linear fluorescent and compact fluorescent baseline not being available in Oregon in the next rate period as a result of state regulations of that equipment. Likewise, in the midstream lighting category, those midstream lighting measures that are for LED tubes and linear replacement products will no longer be eligible in Oregon because they do use fluorescence as part of their baseline. Lastly, we are removing a requirement for walk-in fan motors regarding the fan blade size. It's simply not required given the measures focus on motor size. So we're just removing that requirement. For consumer heat pump water heaters in commercial applications, we are removing the requirement to replace an existing electric resistance water heater. These are still not available in new construction, so it is still limited to retrofits, but it does not need to be a retrofit replacing an existing electric resistance water heater. We also have a number of measures where we are revising the documentation requirements to add an alternative to the existing invoice requirements. Those current invoice requirements specify that the invoice shows the specific equipment that was installed, as well as the installed cost. All of these measures are available to new construction projects, and so traditionally you're not going to find all of those details for these components in a commercial new construction invoice. So we are looking to add some alternative paths for those projects to document the installed equipment. We are also removing the make, model, and installed cost reporting requirements for these measures for the same reason. It's difficult to get an installed cost for a component in a larger new construction project, so we're removing those requirements, that reporting requirement from these list of measures. We have a raft of measures that are seeing some savings adjustments and some payment adjustments. So I'll kind of tackle these one by one, sort of row by row. For the midstream lighting, we're seeing really a nominal adjustment to savings. I wouldn't consider it extremely significant, but we are seeing some of those measures increase. We are not adjusting payments at this time. For connected thermostats, we are seeing a savings increase, and we are increasing payments for those units that control electric heat. So currently in the IM, there is no differentiation in payment for units that control electric heat versus non-electric heated sites. But there are already distinct REFNOs. So the reporting requirement isn't changing, but the fact that there is a differential in incentive payment is going to be new as a result of this change. For the air source heat pump retrofit measure, there is no change to the savings, but we are increasing the payment. Again, that's just for the retrofit measure. The upgrade measure, no change in savings, no change in payment. For the VRF retrofit measure, no change in the savings. We are increasing the incentive. Likewise for VFDs on air handler units. I'm going to jump past commercial package terminal heat pumps, demand control ventilation, heat recovery ventilation equipment, generator block heaters. These are all measures where we are not adjusting savings, but we are planning to increase the savings. Now jumping back a moment to commercial package terminal heat pumps. This is a measure that previously we supported as a BPA-Q measure. That is, BPA developed a savings estimate for the measure. However, it was over the course of the last rate period adopted at the RTF, and their savings estimates are significantly lower, in the range of 60 to 90%, 94% lower than our previous estimates. As a result, we are adjusting our savings to align with the RTFs, and we are decreasing the incentive payments across the board on those. Vehicle engine block heater controls, we're seeing some increased savings. It's fairly nominal though, and no change to the payments. For consumer heat pump water heater in commercial applications, the savings is increasing for most, decreasing for a few applications. There's a long measure list, and I advise you to take a look at the UES measure list when it's published for the details there. We are increasing the incentives, and we will continue in that effort to align the incentives for this equipment class with the same equipment installed in a residential application. So same QPLs, same incentive levels for this class between res and commercial installations. There are distinct ref no's though. We have a handful of measures where we are consolidating what's in the existing UES measure list. So I'll take these one by one. Connected thermostats. We are increasing the savings for the installation measures and expiring the verification measures. So for those of you who are not familiar, this measure currently has about 90% of the savings associated with an initial installation and a 5-year measure life. And then there's a sort of an incremental verification measure that stacks on top of the installation measure that has a 1-year measure life, but you can do it 4 times. It's all very complicated. Folks don't do it. So we are pushing this all together into a single measure, more similar in delivery requirements to our other UES measures. So it's just the installation of the connected thermostat, and you get the whole pile of savings all at once. And again, expiring those verification measures. On commercial installation, we are updating the savings for basically we're combining heating zone 2 and 3 into a single category. There was very little difference in the reported savings, and this will just reduce the complexity of the UES measure list. So there will be one category for heating zone 2/3. We are also expiring a number of the attic roof measures. So the R5 to R30 and R5 to R49 versions of those measures. We were effectively claiming the same savings for the R5 to R19 version of the measure as for these other categories. So as a result, we're simply retiring or expiring these other versions of the measures. If someone were to install R30 or R49, they would still qualify for that R19 version of the measure, which will be retained. And then commercial windows, similar to insulation, we're simply combining heating zone 2 and 3 into an existing or into a single category.
Let's move on to industrial.
Yeah, can't get rid of me that easily. Okay, Here we go. This is a shorter list. So strategic energy management, there are 2 measures currently in the IM: strategic energy management legacy and multi-year strategic energy management. The primary difference, the 2 main differences between them is our measure life. The legacy measure uses a 1-year measure life. The multi-year uses a 7 or 8 year. I'm actually blanking on that right now. Regardless, there are also some differences in the incentive payments or the EEI reimbursement available for those 2 measures. The legacy measure we are going to retire effective the end of this rate period, and we simply maintain that measure to allow for previous 2-year commitments that had been made before we launched the multi-year measure. to continue through that single 2-year cycle. Again, the legacy measure is retiring at the end of the current rate period. A little bit more consolidation, the performance tracking system measure. This is a non-savings measure associated with strategic energy management delivery. And we are consolidating those two measures. There's one called installation and one called annual maintenance. We are pushing those together and combining the cap as a single cap. As we've previously communicated, utilities can submit multiple reimbursement requests under these REFNOs. So this really just makes it easier to maintain that visibility on the overall cap for the site. Variable frequency drive for fans in potato and onion storage facilities. We are adding a maximum horsepower threshold. Must be equal to or less than 250 horsepower, the motor on the fan that's being controlled. This is to align with the RTF requirement for this measure. We haven't seen one over 250 horsepower for a long time, so it should have minimal impact. We are making an adjustment. There was kind of gone back and forth on this measure a few times. There was previously a disconnect between the way this measure was structured in the IM and the way it was structured in the UES measure list. But I think we're making a final adjustment here, where the units are now horsepower. There's going to be just one single reference number for this measure, and the units to be entered are the horsepower of the fan motor being controlled. And the payment at $200 per horsepower is consistent with the old structure. You know, in the past it was like, oh, there's a reference number for a 10 horsepower motor being controlled. That would have had an offering of $2,000 for that one installation. It effectively results in no change in the payments, but it is a different structure. Okay, then I believe I'm handing it over to my friend Jonathan Belmont in the residential sector.
You are actually handing it over to Amy Burke. Unfortunately, Jonathan could not join us today.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm definitely not Jonathan, as you can tell, but I'm happy to pinch hit for him for a little while. So I have a few changes that are effective April 1. The majority of our changes are effective October 1. So a couple of things to go over here. One is for single family deck ceiling. BPA was made aware that the power and distribution peak metrics in the current measure list were incorrect due to a decimal misplacement. So this was corrected. It impacts 12 measures. There will be no changes to savings or payment levels, but just so you're aware. There was also a correction made for manufactured home attic insulation. So we were made aware that the incentive values in the current measure list with a range of R0 to R22 were mistakenly populated with the incentive values meant for manufactured home attic insulation with a range of R0 to R30. So the payments were flipped, but they have been corrected. It impacts 12 measures, 6 standard income and 6 low income, which I'll touch on in the low income section as well. The changes will not be retroactive and is based on completion date. So this one is kind of interesting. So we're removing a little bit of language because it's redundant. So for the variable speed air source heat pump upgrade measure, we're taking out the language that refers to the all components of heat pump including indoor and outdoor components must be newly replaced. That's redundant since we call out in IM section 1.1 that all equipment installed must be new to qualify for payment using a UES measure. And also we want to align with the RTF UES measure for variable speed heat pumps, which only refers to outdoor unit, the outdoor unit compressor. Regarding Performance Path, so the newest news is that it has been extended through 2028. So the original notice was that it would sunset in 2026. And MIA had only agreed to support this program through a certain amount of time, but when the 3-year rate period was finalized, Jonathan was able to negotiate a sunset date of 2028, and MIA will continue to support through that time. So the IM language will be updated to reflect that. So that's it for April 1 changes. So couple items here. One is kind of a big one in that for the residential sector, for all residential measures, we will be requiring the installation cost effective, October 1. It is a very valuable data point. It'll help us better track market cost and help us keep incentive payments more up to date. It's already a field available in Beats, and it is easier for our systems team to change all measures versus just some or one to require this data point. The by request measure distribution channel, as Dave alluded to earlier, is being removed, and those REF-NOs will be expired to avoid challenges in administration and overnight. A note from Jonathan is that it does not include retail and online marketplace measures. So that impacts our EV chargers, thermostatic shutoff valves, advanced thermostats, and door sweeps. So this one's pretty exciting in that we are noticing that for unitary heat pump water heaters, both 40-gallon and 50-gallon and above, we will be adding a new construction option. The big caveat is that it will not be available in Oregon or Washington, so all other states. We are still looking into an option for Oregon, but it's a lot more complicated, so we just can't offer that at this time. But this does not impact, just really want to call this out here, that it does not impact split systems. Split systems are already available in new construction in all states, and that will not be changing. Alrighty, so we have a couple changes here. One is for duct insulation, that we're clarifying that the precondition is not insulated to match the RTF workbook. For prime windows and patio door replacements, this is a big one for Shatoya Parker, who is our weatherization manager, is that vinyl frames will be added as a precondition for double pane windows. So the IM precondition language will be updated to list only metal frames to metal and vinyl frames. So we're pretty excited about that one. Regarding residential custom projects, we're updating the language to allow residential custom projects for multifamily new construction, but only for single systems only. So these are pretty time-intensive projects, very labor-intensive, and so our engineering team who does that important work requested that we keep it to one system per multifamily building. So this table, similar to Eric's, is kind of a high-level overview of the savings and payment changes for standard income residential measures. So we've been working with our planning team on updating payment changes. As you can see, and we'll go through this a little bit, is we're not raising payments for all the measures that have an increased savings because we do have limited budget. So we worked with planning to consider our whole portfolio and our EEI budget. And we kind of chose the priority measures and those identified those lower priority measures. So the priority measures are getting payment increases. So for air sealing, some of those are getting savings increases for air source heat pumps and variable speed heat pumps. That is for all conversions and upgrades. Just really want to call that out. There is no savings changes, but because it is a priority measure, we are increasing all the payments for those, which is great. For Douglas heat pumps, it's a little bit of a different story. So the RTF released a new structure for DHPs, and what we're doing is we're taking what they had created and averaging out the cooling zones to make sure that that's a manageable list of measures for you all. But that does unfortunately mean that it will result in a small decrease in savings. So the REF-NOs will be restructured, which will result in new REF-NOs. But despite that, this is still a priority measure. And as such, we're increasing the payments for this to support measure uptake. A couple other call outs that were interesting. Clothes dryers had an increase in savings. Duct insulation, all are increasing, which shocked me a little bit. Heat pump water heaters, some are increasing. Insulation, which includes exterior insulated doors as well. Some are increasing for that. Few decreases in thermostats and some increases and some decreases for windows. So we'll have increase in payments for air source heat pumps, ductless heat pumps, variable speed, clothes washers, heat pump water heaters, and windows. All right, well, I know we are a little bit low on time, so I will go through the next section and then you'll get rid of me. So for low income, we've got a few updates here. So if we could jump to the next slide. So this reflects the same corrections in the measure list that we just went over with residential. So regarding low-income single-family duct ceiling, correcting those power system peak reduction and distribution load reduction numbers, and then also correcting the payment level, the default payment level for low-income manufactured home attic insulation. The big caveat there is that for low income in particular, the default payment is being corrected. So if you don't enter in anything as a measure payment, measure cost when you're entering your low income measure, it will default to this corrected amount, but this measure will remain paid dollar for dollar for low income. So we are excited to announce that we're rolling out a new measure effective April 1 for low-income split system heat pump water heaters. So the savings will match the non-low income measure option that we currently offer. And the payment cost cap will be set at $3,000, which matches the current low income option for unitary heat pump water heaters, 50 gallons and above. So we're excited to roll that one out. So we have a few clarifications and references. So one, this one's been in the works for a while. We are changing our name from low income energy efficiency to energy efficiency income qualified. And we have we've been doing a lot of work to try and get it to this point. Between now and the publication of the rate period, IM will be doing a lot of updating of internal and external documents with the goal of rolling it out nicely when that gets published in the fall. Another clarification that we will be adding into the IM language is around multifamily buildings and how to income qualify them. I get a lot of questions around, do you have to income qualify the entire building in order to serve one unit? And the answer is absolutely not. So we're just going to clarify that even if you don't survey the entire building or complex and income qualify those units, you can still just serve the one unit, which is great. We will be adding in a couple references. One is that the low-income custom project and program rates are available for income qualified residents. And we will be adding a reference that the home energy report is available for income qualified residents, but with the same payment level. So a couple changes in REFNOs. One is reflecting the same kind of restructuring of the DHP measures as we had talked about in the residential section. So a decrease in decrease in savings, but there will be no changes to payments for DHPs for low income. There are a couple expiration of REFNOs. So for advanced thermostats for low income, they're only available for direct install currently in the measure list. We have a couple REFNOs that are for other distribution channels. And so we're going to be expiring those REFNOs to align with the IM. And then in line with the by request measure distribution change, we're expiring the low income door sweep, but the direct install will still be available. Alrighty, so a little bit of information here about our repair costs. So we've been seeing an increase in activity in low income measures, which is exceptional, but we are also inevitably getting a lot more questions about what activities do and do not qualify for low income payments. So 2 items that we get questioned about pretty consistently was whether or not full roof replacements and extended warranties, not manufacturer warranties, extended warranties, are covered within the payment cost cap or as a low income related repair cost. So we will be adding some clarifying language that to our current policy effective October 1, that our current payment cost cap and repair cost policies will not allow for coverage of either a full roof replacement or extended warranty. So this was done in an effort to address the high cost of roof replacements and to ensure that critical EI is being spent on work that's more directly tied to projects that provide savings acquisition. Regarding coverage of extended warranties, this is a clarification that will be added as directed by our internal staff. That's not a cost that we'll be covering to continue to address the high cost of these projects. So we are updating BEATS to require a couple additional fields when you're entering low income measures. So one is the measure cost field, which is currently not required. If it's left blank, it will default to the payment level that's entered in for all of our residential measures. So we'll be requiring that the measure cost field be required when you're entering a low income measure. And we're hoping to really get a clear picture of what the actual low income measure costs are as a result. Also, we will be requiring that the repair cost field be entered upon entering low-income projects into BEATS. So currently, this is not required. If you have no repair costs to claim, $0 is absolutely fine. But again, this is really in an effort to get a clearer picture on what actual repair costs are that are related to these projects. So this is interesting. So currently we have no guideline on what BPA is willing to pay for related repair costs, which causes some confusion. So after a lot of careful analysis, extensive discussions, we are really proud to give notice of a new policy regarding willingness to pay for repair costs. So we really do hope that this new policy is clear and understandable, and it meets your needs for serving your low-income customers. So the new policy that will be rolling out October 1st is we'll be capping related repair costs for any project with a measure cost of $1,000 or higher at 300% of the reported low-income measure cost. The caveat here is that there will be no additional CAS or formerly COTR review for exceptions. We know this is a new policy. The language may need some finessing. So we will definitely be working on the language and you'll have an opportunity to provide feedback on this during the review process later this year. So we added in a few scenarios just to give some insight. So for clothes washers, and we do have this for a few of our low income measures, we don't allow any repair costs. So I just wanted to include this in here. So for clothes washers, if you have a measure cost of $900, payment cost cap at $800, no repair costs are allowed. Your final payment is $800. For ductless heat pumps, on the other hand, which do have allowable repair costs, the measure cost is $9,000. It's capped at $6,000 for measure payment. Your repair costs are $2,000, and you're allowed up to $27,000 for that ductless heat pump. But your final total payment is $8,000. So your payment cost cap plus your claimed repair costs. For duct sealing, measure costs at $1,200. Your payment cost cap is set at $750. Your repair costs are $5,000, but the repair cost cap that's allowed at the 300% of the measure cost is set at $3,600. So your final total payment will be $4,350. So again, I know this is a new policy and we're working out the details, but we wanted to let you know that that's what we're working on. So very similar to the other residential measures, very high level overview of what's changing. So the savings changes match all the residential measures. The big caveat for low income is that we currently have no plans to change payments. So those will still stay static through October 1st. So again, some interesting call outs, duct insulation, high increases, and air sealing increasing for manufactured homes.
Thank you all so much. We do appreciate your joining us today. If you do have any follow-up questions, please reach out to your energy efficiency representative. We are here to help you and take care of any of your needs. We do appreciate you, and we thank you for your time.